Did you know that McDonald's had their own version of Starbucks? They finally got too big for their britches and they decided to see if they could dominate the coffee market too. Unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us if you've ever had McDonald's coffee before, they were unsuccessful. And as of 2025, these 5 McCosmic coffee shops in Texas and Georgia are now shutting down. But why'd this happen? What stopped McDonald's from dominating the coffee market like they dominate the fast food market? Well, to start with, just what is Cosmics? Well, it's a space-themed drive-thru cafe with a mouthful of a name. The cafe opened in late 2023. It was meant to be a kinda trendy McDonald's cafe, similar to McCafe with quote-unquote otherworldly beverage creations. But unlike McDonald's, it was drive-in only. It was meant to be a place people could come for a quick morning or afternoon coffee, or a frappe, donut, or even a slushie. Maybe people would drive through on their way to or from work. And it has quite a charming light space theme throughout it. As you can at least see from the website, the theme is all about lifting humans up with every sip. At first in 2023, the business looked very promising. First locations were Illinois and Texas, but I think McDonald's was expecting more, as it was really busy at these locations. Tommy here lined up an hour early because a drive-thru line was typically 3 hours long. Yikes! So much for getting your coffee in a hurry on the way to work. Fork Pitch also visited their local Cosmics and had 50 cars ahead, and the security guards told them the lines had been long and slow since the store first opened up. Enthusiasm was clearly high, but given McDonald's is now closing all 5 Cosmics locations due to quote-unquote steep loss in revenue and sales, clearly that extreme enthusiasm didn't last. So why didn't it last? Well, fortunately, CEO at the time, Chris Kazemski, gave some relatively clear answers. We're shutting down Cosmos because of a steep loss in sales. We think this is because customers got an absence of experience. Brand contradiction. And the hype died down. You can't come here anymore. Go away. So what does that mean? I think by quote-unquote absence of experience, he means that solely having the drive-thru didn't give people much of the McDonald's experience people remember from their restaurants. At least at Starbucks, there's generally the option to head in and sit down and watch 50 people sitting on their laptops. But at Cosmics, the experience was solely line up, take your shit, and get out. I mean, probably take your frappes, but that's a general idea. We tend to focus on the food at McDonald's as the experience. But the experience is a lot more than that. It's also walking into the restaurant, being hit by that nostalgia, that familiarity, those memories, finding a table that isn't covered in crumbs, sitting on a hard seat, and watching the frantic staff behind the counter continually be plagued by beeping. For better or for worse, it was all a big part of the experience. I'd argue even seeing the playground as a part of that nostalgic experience. Take all that away and it's just second-rate food and second-rate coffee. But what did he mean by brand contradiction? Well, the Cosmic brand is based on Cosmic, who was an alien McDonald's character from the 80s. But from what I can see, the menu didn't align very much with that alien theme. If we look at the menu, there's S'mores Cold Brew, Tropical Spice-a-Lade, the Strawberry and Cookie McFlurry, and McPops. These all sound lovely, but they don't really match the space theme in any way I can see. I suppose they at least call some of their drinks Galactic Boosts. But overall, I think that's what the CEO meant by brand contradiction. For me personally, when I hear Cosmics, I want to see a space-themed coffee shop on the inside. I don't want to just sit in a drive-thru for an underwhelming experience. You know what doesn't make me think of space travel? Our boring-ass cars sitting in a drive-thru puking out petrol while we wait in line thinking of what we have to do today. Or what you have done if it's the end of the day. Anyway, let me escape the humdrum daily experience by walking inside for my out-of-this-world beverage. Let me sit within some of that beautiful purple and yellow color scheme you got going. I'd love that. Sorry, I just really dig that color scheme. It's beautiful. An example of this lack of atmosphere is Mike Chen visited and there just wasn't much atmosphere to soak up. Just a quick drive-through with a plain parking lot. Woohoo! The CEO also mentioned the hype dying down, and I think Matt at the branding agency JKR made an interesting note on this. McDonald's didn't invest in enough marketing for Cosmics, so the hype died down far too quickly. Within weeks of launch, there was nothing more to talk about. Honestly, I love space, and I'm gonna miss the Cosmic's 80s space theme. I could use a bit of that 80s space optimism in my life right now. If we look at the website, it's a little slice of yesteryear, and reminds me of a simpler time where the biggest thing in our minds was the idea of aliens on other planets. Not the exhausting but important topics of climate change, terrorism, civil war, the rise of dictatorship, oceans filling with plastic, or global trade wars, or skyrocketing house prices. Just, hey, could there be aliens on other planets? There's Cosmic. He's an alien, so maybe there is. Just simpler times, you know? Anyway, this underwhelming experience was probably part of why many people felt, nah, I'll just go for my coffee at Starbucks. It's closer. Unless they're going to sell us on the McDonald's coffee taste. And personally, I've never been to a McCafe that hasn't burnt my coffee beans. Maybe your coffee there's good, but mine never has been. Anyway, even if they made a great coffee though, their competition for coffee chains is overwhelming. I mean, even if you discount their own McCafe McCoffee places that are already there, Starbucks owns the coffee market, and that habit of where customers go for their coffee can be tough to break, particularly if they have loyalty points or just like their particular menu item. Could Cosmix really sell people as worth the change? Well, clearly not. But what was the menu like? Well, if you're curious, let's experience it a bit. Tommy Winkler tried some of the menu, such as the Cosmix Popping Pear Slush. It's called popping because it also has pop rocks in there. He gave it a 7.8 out of 10. With the drinks having those bowls at the bottom, you can definitely see how they're meant to be a more modern trendy drink. More in line with their trendy Starbucks competitors, I guess. Tommy also got the creamy avocado tomatillo sandwich. Jeepers, I hope they don't expect me to remember that name. Anyway, the sandwich contains cheese, avocado, egg, and bacon. And Tommy was overwhelmed by how fluffy and tasty it was. He gave it an 8, saying he liked it better than Egg McMuffins, which is high praise for some. What about drinks? He tried the tropical Spiceade too, one of Cosmic's signature beverages. He described it as being like when you shove a handful of Skittles in your mouth, but without the lockjaw from chewing. Solid 8 out of 10s all round, except for the churro frappe, which he gave a 3, saying it didn't taste very churro to him. Cosmic specialized in drinks, but they still seem to have some of the items from the McDonald's universe, like the McFlurry. But they also have more specialty breakfast items like the spicy queso sandwich. The queso sandwich is topped with egg, sausage, cheese, avocado, and jalapeno crisps. The menu's all made to be more quick and convenient than McDonald's. For example, instead of hash browns, we get hash brown bites. Tommy tried some of these and he found they tasted a lot like hash browns, which is what you're looking for in hash brown bites, I guess. Just hash browns, but easy and on the go. The Cookie Butter McPops is another example of their bite-sized menu. Tommy definitely got a lot of that strong sugary taste from it, and the texture is nice and thick. Their apple and cinnamon McPops were very similar to the apple pies, but bite-sized. They even had big cookies, kind of like Subway but thicker, like the caramel fudge brownie. And well, it's kind of hard to screw up a caramel fudge brownie. It's like the most decadent thing ever. The texture was perfect and it crumbled in his hands, which I think is just what you want in a brownie. But what's with this weird alien character? Well, that's Cosmic from the 80s. Originally, Cosmic was a Ronald McDonald character from 30 years ago. He used to appear in McDonald's 80s commercials, back when McDonald's still aimed their commercials at kids. But 30 years ago, he left McDonald Land. He stole the McDonald's food and took it back to his planet Cosmic Land. Now, in the present day, 30 years later, Cosmic has apparently served millions of aliens on his home planet. But he's back on Earth to give Earthlings his mood-boosting beverages. I guess now he's heading home. His planet needs him. But all is not lost, because McDonald's claims that it's learned from its beverages it has tested. And Cosmic's beverages will be landing in hundreds of US McDonald's locations to see how they fare. And when these Cosmic drinks come to McDonald's, do you think you'll try them out? Do you even go to McDonald's? Let me know what you think of Cosmic in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.